Yeah, there have been a lot of talks. Let me prepare my thing here. There have been a lot of talks about Africans who goes to Africa and they are not wanted and they are kicked back. And both sides are kind of like maybe furious, mostly maybe the people who believe or feel that they were not wanted, and they've been in this whole thing, come back to Africa and you are going to be received your home and all this, and people moving with this expectation that you are going home, and then when you arrive home, you are not home. You are refused to be at home. And this has been a big buzz in almost a lot of videos. And I am coming back with this video, following up with a video from BeeboyReaction. And I am going to link that video below, where a lot of people went to Ghana, they went to different places, and they felt totally unwanted. Okay, let's begin this video. If any of you don't know, my name is Elece, and on this channel I talk about cultures, traditions, lifestyle. And I am the owner of the Vision Production. I do writing. Also, if you want to know more about that, I have some links below, the Vision Production, my website, and also you can get my books, especially my reasons for living, my memoir that I just published. So let's get into this video right now and talk about why there is so much talk about this. Why people, they feel so rejected. It's a pity. It's really not something anyone wants to experience. But these things, they are happening where people, they feel rejected. They feel mistreated also. On top of feeling rejected, they feel mistreated. And there are some aspects, certain things that are happening where white people, they categorize or they classify it as being mistreated or not being wanted, or even almost like being kicked out of the country. Well, there's a lot of things, and I have a little bit of some notes to just guide me. Now, think about it. If you don't know each other, how much can you go in terms of really loving someone, embracing them, and wanting them to be in your home? You don't know this person. You really don't know. I remember, I'm going to give you a little story. I remember my mother died. I was 6 years old, and I have to be taken care by different family members, but also I stayed with both of my grandmothers. They were still alive in both of my grandmother's places. And I remember my father working so hard to make sure he take us from our grandparents. Why? Because there is cultures that are built in every family, in every place. You build a certain culture and tradition. And some of the tradition, they don't go along with another family. For example, my father's mother, she did not go to school. Both my grandparents did not go to school. She did not value anything to do with the school. My other grandmother, though, was afraid enough to respect my father's wishes, my mother's mother, but my other grandmother was not up to respecting his son's wishes. She did what she felt was right, what was good. And I remember living with her and missing school so many times, to the point where at one point we took a vacation for a full month. And if you want to know more about this, actually, it's all in my memoir, my stories. A full month, just traveling, going to see my aunts and, my grandmother's sisters, all kinds of people, just having good time. And I was in my first grade. I didn't know any better to think about school, to think how important it is, to think I need to go to school. Finally, I end up actually dropping from my first grade because of this kind of situations. And my father knew when he heard about this. He was in the city working. When he heard about this, he hurried home But it was too late, for me to try and catch up after a month of missing and all that. So I end up dropping that first grade and started the following year. What I'm trying to say here is cultures are different. So I feel for those especially who feel neglected, feel not wanted, feel no one cares about them, even though Africa is saying come back home, no one cares about them. I feel for that. But I want to let you know that I think the very thing we need all of us to know, especially for our African brothers and sisters, I think is to learn one another. We need to understand who are the African Americans. And also the African Americans, when we go to Africa, we cannot expect to just go in there and feel like I am at home. I don't think it's really true though. When I first came to America, I did not think I'll face culture shock. And this is all about my channel because I experienced this when I first came here. I was coming into a black family. So in so many ways externally, I blended. I felt like I was at home. I felt like I was with my people. But in reality, at the bottom of everything, I wasn't a part of the family yet. No, I wasn't. I was trying to learn to be a part. I was someone who is coming in and trying to learn what these people is all about. Why? Because it's like that child who is raised by the grandmother who don't believe that schooling is important. And even though my father was furious with his own mother, but still it's my grandmother's culture and her tradition, her ways. And she did not really, it wasn't like out of, like bias that she doesn't want me to go to school. It was out of her belief system, what she thought was not too important. I mean, there's so many things that she says. Sometimes she would just say, not everybody goes to school. You can just sleep. And of course, I liked to hear those things, at 8-year-old. I enjoyed hearing that. I slept, But my father was furious. And these are cultures because he now had built his own culture of understanding the importance of education. And he wanted his children to go to school, no fail. So the same thing, when we talk about I was rejected, I'm not wanted, I think one thing, when we talk about we wanted to go home, we need to go first. I think it's so worth it. I know it's an extra expense to do that, but it's so worth it because when you go first, experience, be at the point where you are willingly to learn about the African people, because you are like that child who were raised by another family, and that family had their own culture. America, it's another whole thing. And they infused a lot of things that are not cultural, that are not traditional, that are not nothing. And a lot of, I hear it a lot in my family here, that, we were stripped of our cultures and traditions and ways and everything. And that's true. And if you were stripped that much, when you get to the people who have been so intact about the traditions and culture, everything to them is weird. I'll give you an example. For example, some of the African cultures, they believe that children they'll eat later after the adults' food is dished out and the adults are given food. When I came to America, I found out they first cater to the children. Well, it might look, it's not like anybody is going to go hungry. It's just that, the way how it's done is different. And all this is done out of the ways, what they follow, the tradition. So the children are going to eat first. That's America. In some parts of Africa, the adults, they are given their plates first. Then the children will be given their plates later. Like that. Everybody is going to eat. It might look to the Americans, why would you let the children get hungry there and not give them their food first, and then they can eat, and then the adult eat. Same applies to the other cultures and tradition. They might think, why letting a child first? That's kind of like disrespectful instead of honoring their parents. And part of the reason is that the children have to serve the adults. So there is a lot that actually people really don't know. And some people, they take tours to Africa, but they never really go into the country where what we call Africa is, where the tradition is. Because now, when we live in the place now, you're going to meet a lot of the people. Either they are visiting, either they live in the city, but they also have a home in the country. They still maintain a lot of the tradition, and the way of life is so different. On this video where I was watching and BeeboyReaction video, there was a lady there. He sort of interviewed a few people. There was a lady there who talked about, there was money needed over here, money needed over here. And it was all like black market, right? Everybody wants a tip here, a tip there. There were different prices that were given to the American. Well, let me tell you a story. This is not just in Africa. I was in Korea. And I talk about it in one of my strange, I think it's a strange video, strange cultures, Korean cultures, I think, crazy Korean cultures or something like that. Look at my videos, because I have a lot of culture shock videos. Those culture shock videos, they will educate you into understanding about other cultures, because what you're really struggling about is not about the people per se. You are struggling about the cultures that they hold, the way they do things. So let me get back to the being charged for everything, maybe extra. I was in Korea. We sat down, me and my husband, to have some coffee, and literally it was 2 cups of coffee, and this is early 90s. 2 cups of coffee and some cookies. We were charged something like, I think, $15. I think those things could have been easily $4, $5, no more than that, I think, at that time. But we were charged about $15. We just drop our mouth just like, first of all, we didn't know the language. We couldn't say anything. We just paid and we left. But these are some of the things you're going to find. And some places for sure. I remember when I went to Zimbabwe one time, I was with my husband, and I took my own ID to pay for the hotel. And later on, they found out I was with an American husband. They were furious, because they actually opened up to me and they say, we get our livelihood through sometimes tourists, so our charges are different. A tourist and a native, it's different, So some countries, I didn't see that here. I don't see the different prices here in America. But I would not say that it's only in Africa, because I experienced that in Korea. Many places they practice that. It's just a way because they believe America has more money. Is it good? No, it's not. And these things, they happen all over. Now we talk about being charged like tip everywhere. Well, in America, I think it's worse, to be honest with you. The only difference is they even put it on your ticket to say there's a tip, And in Africa, it's kind of unofficial tip. You get an unofficial tip all the time, everywhere. You have to tip someone, for something, for nothing, you have to tip. But here, they tip everywhere. Anytime I think I want to go to the restaurant, I have to think, do I have extra for the tip? Otherwise I don't go, because again, you feel weird to go in a restaurant, sit down, you eat, and you did not give that tip. So this video, I'm not going to prolong it. What I wanted to just jump in and say, because this talk is really becoming like really serious. And people, when you see people picking up their things, going somewhere, and they go there, and then they pick up, here they sold their homes, maybe they left their jobs, whatever, thinking they are going home, and they pick up, they come back. That's serious. That's very serious. And I can understand that. But I would also suggest, I think that was Ashley in Africa who said, when you are about to take a big, change in your life like that, it's best always to go and explore the place, get to know it, and, kind of just go there to just soak it in, to see it. As a matter of fact, last year I did that with one of my friends who wanted to be in Africa, who wanted to go with me. We went together. We did not stay in the city. We actually stayed most of our time in the country, traveling in the countryside and visiting families and really living the life of an African. And that was really an amazing thing for her. Because most tours, if you go with a tour group, they don't do that. They kind of make you glance at the country maybe and leave. You don't sleep there. You don't see how they cook. You don't see how they do their day-to-day life. You don't see nothing, And actually, as a matter of fact, I am planning to make more of these trips. So if you are interested in seeing or hearing more about this, I have some video down there that I can link that you can see in a playlist that you can see about this trip to Africa with my friend. But also I'm planning, maybe in the near future, for sure, there's a lot going on here now in America, in the near future, planning maybe people who want a certain type of a vacation, not the regular vacation that we all know, staying in the Hilton and the this and that, the Sheraton and all that. No, but staying in a hut, sleeping in a hut, seeing the fire being made and cook and all that. Anyone who will be interested in the near future, I think I'll be announcing something like this, and we can all experience. But we cannot take people who are not willingly to adapt. When I came to America, even though it's called America, I had to adapt a lot of things. And that's a lot of my videos. I talk about the things that I had to adapt into, weird things that I never thought I would, greeting and things like that. I thought these people are really weird. They would not greet me the way I thought I should be greeted, as a person coming that far. I felt there should be some way of greeting, but I wasn't greeted that way. So all that will be coming as we go. So this video I'm going to close here. It's really like a long video because there's so much going on, but I wanted just to kind of have an input about this because I think the bottom line is really learning one another and get to know one another. One of the channels you can follow up is actually Dr. Arikana. She talks about being interviewed in so many different podcasts and in many interviews. If you just Google Dr. Arikana, I think you will learn a lot about how all of us actually, we were miseducated and we all needed to come back to be educated. All of us, the Africans, those who are in the diaspora, we are all in this confusion and we just need to learn each other. Thank you so much for watching, and if you didn't do so, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, and also put the thumbs up. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye. My grandson said do it.